Um, so we are recording now, and I just thought it would be really great to kick off 2021 kind of a little bit of an assessment for Ruth. And I'm wondering, somebody has a lot of feedback. I guess if you're not speaking yet, if you could mute yourselves, that would be great. But anyway, because I just think it's really helpful to, when we're integrating her entire brain into her healing, to kind of it be helpful for me to understand what you all are working on, what progress you've seen, so that maybe I can interject some of what she's working on with you all into some of her sessions with me. Because not only do her and I do movement in the form of yoga and swimming, but we use the brain and we speak out loud and kind of try to get the brain to work in all modalities at the same time. And I'm amazed by her healing, really. I feel like she's made a lot of progress, and I feel that it's really fascinating that she incorporated on her own the speech therapy, the muscle activation, the music, and this movement all together. And I feel that because of all of those challenges that she's giving herself with her brain, I feel like she's having remarkable results. And I don't know what you all are feeling, but whenever I talked to her about the fact that she couldn't see for 2 years and she couldn't walk, and I can pretty much understand and have a conversation with you now, Ruth, where you're using much larger words. And I don't know, it's so exciting that the brain is just continuing to heal. So I just thought we could do a little bit of a round robin and kind of hear from each other on maybe some of the progress she's made, what you've been working on recently, and maybe what your next goals are, if that would work for everyone. And be happy to just interject and state what you feel would be helpful for her healing as well. So why don't does anybody want to say anything to that effect? And maybe we'll just kind of call on one another to give us a breakdown.
Well, Ruth and I had a session earlier today, and I've always been impressed and amazed with Ruth's patience and her determination, and it's been the most difficult part is just knowing that where she is making so much advancement, that for her the advancement seems really small and really slow. But for me, it seems like it's, like you said, Susan, it's since I started working with her, not only is her speech, her choice of words, but you didn't play piano as of last January, a year ago, right? And now she's playing pieces that are, it's pretty amazing. I mean, she's comprehending and working hard and staying dedicated. The one thing we're finding with the music is, at one point we were working a lot with guitar. Just to give you a little background, we were working with guitar, but her fingers were dry and cracking, and so that made it a little painful. In fact, I had done a little bit of research, and I had seen where something about hormones that could deal with dry skin and cracking skin could be affected from a traumatic brain injury. Her neurologist did not go for that at all, but that was just something I had found and read. So I didn't know if that was a part of the situation. But she was doing great with guitar, but then that became a little more painful because of the cracking skin. So we've been focusing more on piano, which, Susan, from my perspective, my music therapy is all in neurologic music therapy, so it's all brain based. And so I go with the goal of trying to use both hands, and so you're working both sides of the brain, and music through research has a way of, if it can't repair a situation, then you can find new neuronal pathways. And so that's what we've been really trying to do is I keep pushing her to really practice, and we use both hands, because I'm just hoping that eventually it finds a new pathway. And I see that. I see so much growth and potential, and for further growth. But I also understand from her perspective that she's been living this for so long that the steps seem very, very, very small to her, even though they seem pretty huge to me in a way. So I push her with the music. She's doing a great job with the music. We have been working on some exercises with, neck muscles, loosening neck muscles, not anything really in depth, but just pretty basic kinds of things. And then stretching, stretching, and then with breathing, and with singing, with vocalizing. And we find with the singing that there's a situation of recognizing words, and even with the music, reading music, she knows where the notes are on the piano, and she knows, she's using her ear to hear that as well. But there's the disconnect for her with the music, reading music, is actually putting a word or a letter with a note. And that's where we're not, and I don't, we keep trying to come into it from different ways, but and if anybody has any suggestions on that, Jill and I have talked a little bit about how to kind of cross that bridge to connect the two. But it's been just wonderful working with her. I love how driven she is, and I look forward to hearing her play. And I will also point out, and I'm sure everybody on this Zoom call knows this, Ruth is a perfectionist, and so she wants it to be a performance, perfection kind of thing. And but to me, I still hear incredible work. So I'm very happy with what she's doing from my perspective.
So you were saying this time last year she wasn't able to play songs, or you were just kind of in the learning progress, or did she used to know how to play piano?
No, she never played piano. She played oboe and recorder, but she never played piano. And now she's playing two hands piano. She has the musical, the innate musical abilities, and a comfort level. And but you're still talking about somebody learning how to play two hand pieces, which she didn't do a year ago.
That's awesome. So her struggle is more, it's like the short-term memory stuff where she's trying to say A looks like this on the paper.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's looking at the notes on the staff and being able to recall what that letter name is right away. She can play it, so there's a correlation between where the note is on the piano, but it's the notation of the note, the symbol of the note, where it is on the thing. That's the disconnect. But I think I wrote out a whole chart that gave her what the names of the notes are on the staff, and she uses that religiously. And so I think there is growth in her understanding of this, but I think there's also, from her perspective, just a perception of her understanding of it, if that makes sense. And we do talk about the fact that when we finish, one of the things she loves to do is just take a little rest, so that she gives her brain a little break. And then I guess, unfortunately, after that, it kind of comes back, and she feels like she's starting from step one again, even though I don't feel like she really is starting from step one again. But I think that feeling, that sensation is starting over.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can
I ask a question? Hey, Matt, getting the stickers of the musical notes to put on the keys, did that help at all?
You have those, right, Ruth?
What?
The stickers for on the keyboard that have the.
It's not working. Not
Okay.
working.
And that doesn't help at all having the stickers on. Okay.
No, because of it here and this really good, but right down here, look at, and it's 4 notes, and where is it? It's just not there. Here, and really good here, but same here, but looking up and new, everything new. And so
sorry, go ahead.
it's frustrating because it's here and note here, but look here, but this 4 sessions and it's gobbledygook. It's like words and no music, but I don't know where is it. It's just one and no, nothing.
And that might be also correlated with the vision aspect of traumatic brain injury, and you know, the looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up, and that might be a you know, that also helps with the disconnect. Maybe.
That
Well,
makes sense.
So it's better, but it's brain here, but no brain here. Where is it? It's just new, everything new.
There are not stickers on most of the keys. There are only 2 stickers on anywhere on that. There's a
I
sticker
know.
for A
I
and one
know.
for C.
I
But other
know.
than that, there are no stickers on it.
I sent you some stickers though, right? Didn't I mail you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but it's not working and fall off, and it's fine because it was not working. So thank you, but
And I will also say, you know, as to the whole group that, you know, we can do music by Zoom, but, you know, as in everything, it would be just so much more powerful to be together. And so that's, you know, we're just kind of dealing with I know some of you are seeing each other in person but we have not been able to do that. So we're doing it by Zoom, and that, I would love to be, you know, in the room next to the piano and be able to put the stickers on and make them stay and things like that, so that it would benefit you.
So, were you going to say something, Ted?
Well, yeah, Mac. You know what we could do if you think it would help is that I can, you know, I can get with you and I can get the stickers on the right keys if we think that's something that's going to help. But I see
No.
Ruth shaking her head no.
Ruth, I think
no.
that concept is not a good concept for her to learn it, right?
Yeah, that might be more. That's too much information to process all at the same time, maybe.
No, it's just here and look out and Greek. It's here and it's nothing.
So
Sorry.
one of the reasons that I was thinking that would be helpful to get together is, you know, with her brain injury, most of us have a natural tendency to learn either visually, kinesthetically, you know, we just learn differently. And I know Ruth is extremely visual. She wants to see everything. And so with her injury though, she's had to adjust and maybe learn a little more kinesthetically or whatever else, or auditorily. And so if I know that you are working on that and I have a piano in my house, anytime you move and speak out loud and try to learn all at the same time, it kind of is a synergistic, more powerful, opens your brain up to more neurological stimulation. So if we were to do a yoga class in my living room, I've worked with Ruth multiple times. She knows how to do, you know, Ruth, how we do ball 1, ball 2, ball 3.
Right.
We could do F, A, C, E. And every time we do F, I could be in the piano going, this is F, F, A, C, E. So I'm just saying, like, there may be another way that we could teach her to know. If she knows F, A, C, E, you could pretty much figure out a lot of other stuff, right?
Mm.
So I could try that with her. That would be really fun, you know?
I think it sounds great. And, you know, there was a period where Ruth was not even correlating the music, the sound in her head to the keyboard, but you're doing that now, and that's, you know, helping a lot because you hear right away if it's not the right note. But still, that idea of how do we, you know, how do we get the, but it's like learning new words as well. I mean, because music is a language in its own, so you are learning relearning a new language, and part of that language is, you know, the notes on the page, and that is a, you know, part of the, I think what Ruth has seen throughout, because of the injury, that the finding the right words and having those words retain in the memory so that she can retrieve them, you know, automatically. And
Okay.
that's, so I think it's all correlated together with the language and with the learning of the notes. It's just different. Instead of using our English words, it's music notes.
Well, we'll try that and see what it does. And Jill, I was going to ask you,
I was just going to say, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? When Ruth, I get what Ruth is saying physically. The notes up here and the piano's down here, and that disconnect for the brain to put that together on the output of what is that note on the piano when has to look here. She might be moving her head, like we would think it's not much movement, but when that neck or head moves, that controls whether she has a strong signal down a whole side or the other or both. So like an athlete would be chin performance, and the nervous system can dial down almost like, I'm old school, so almost like a stereo where you turn the volume down. If her head gets near where her head and neck were on that accident, the nervous system is all about protecting from things that got us hurt from day one. And you guys can see that too in the relationship and emotional side. We avoid things that get you hurt, relationships that got you hurt, personalities that got you hurt, things like that. So just that movement possibly of the head can be a piece of the signal disconnect, which we work on that all the time, in calming down the nervous system so that it doesn't think that when she gets in a certain position, bad things come up after that. Now, that's probably the explanation when she first started MAT and first started moving, and the body knew exactly where the position of every movable part, every movable joint in her body. So we're pretty far from, we've calmed her nervous system down immensely over the time we've been together. But, and I know some of the stuff I say might seem crazy because I see crazy things with the MAT. But Mac, you've been on the table and you kind of know more about what I'm talking about. And so when I hear, I mean, I'm just seeing that movement of head, because I played the piano too. And it's like, you want to look at that note and you know where it is on the keyboard, but that, I don't know, Ruth, is that some of it where you keep saying, you keep pointing like that when they're talking? And I keep thinking that head motion might be a little disturbing to the nervous system, where it comes in with the protection and then that it contributes to the disconnect.
And brain,
Yeah.
their brain too, but
Yeah.
ABC, it's not person, but
Yeah.
it's different. And so it's Greek of the names of the letters, 5 of the notes here, 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 and looking. And it's,
Yeah.
different ABC and different notes and not connected.
Yeah, I get that too. That's what Mac was saying. We're trying to find what will bring that connection together
Right.
for us. And I've noticed exactly what Susan said. You have come so far on the speech side. Sometimes you throw out a word that I'm like, whoa, where did she come up with that? But when you're telling me about, I say, what did you do this weekend? So I know how much you demanded on your body. You tell me what Susan's done, what didn't work. What I need to know from all of you is anything that you see she can't do well. So Mac, we were working on the scales because when she wants to sing, that's going to be her neck muscles need to push out. But then I thought about it where she said, I'm raspy. And because I'm like, what did Mac say? And she gets out enough words that I can follow. And so I thought, okay, the volume of air that we need to push out when she does the scales, that would be the intercostal muscles between the ribs. And those actually are also global muscles that can dial signals down. So when you ask someone to do, I'm not talking to you, Mac, but when anyone asks somebody to do something, we don't know if the nervous system considers that a stress on it or okay. And so I thought if she can't get enough air, she's going to sound raspy. So we went and stayed on her intercostal muscles, probably asked them 4 times, stay on when she does the scale. And then they stay on, usually after 4 tries. And then I asked her to do the scale, and then she pushed out. And Ruth is the judge. So Ruth goes, that was much better. And it sounded better, like she was connecting to something like a singer does. There wasn't any raspy. And so I said, well, now when you get with Mac on Thursday, see what he says back about if he asks you to do the scale, because I wanted to see, can she now move that demand up higher? The threshold of the muscles, we're pushing those higher. That's what we've been working on all this time. And what you can't do, or what she can't do, is a green light for MAT. I want to know what you can't do, not what you can do. So even if it's speech, I've just noticed the speech is better and the choice of words. And she talks in paragraphs, and we have a conversation where I know what she did all week, and where before it was like a guessing game. And so Ruth has come a long way. And as far as physical for the MAT, when Ruth first came, her left arm could come away from her body to the side, probably 35 degrees to 45 degrees. And it couldn't come up more. She just lifts her arm up, on demand up there. So that is one of the biggest changes. I always ask Ruth, what is Ted? Is Ted saying anything back about how good you look, or how you're doing things that maybe he knew you couldn't do too well before, whether it's hiking, she's going farther, or she's ahead of me, or something like that. And so Ted, your feedback is good too about what you see she can do now, and who she was before, after the accident, when, hiking, all the hikes she does, you guys riding bikes, and anything you see that she can't quite get to is a big clue for me of connection, of moving her forward, because I'm after those muscles that are saying, no, I'm not going to come on all the way, so I'm using all of your stuff, and Ruth is really good at putting it out there, what she can and can't do. And we work from that place. So, yeah.
From my standpoint, what I would say is that what I see is that she can do everything, except that she has never really gotten her endurance back. She can walk great, but not for long. She can cross country ski like she always did, but not for real long. And I don't know how that fits or where it fits, but that is one thing that I do see.
You're tying into what Mac just said. That might be intercostals not putting up with that demand to get the airflow. I mean, for the breath. And he's trying to work with it with singing. So that if that trips the threshold, that's low, then that'll trip the threshold. And then she tells me what she can't do. And then I know what muscles would push the air out or take in more volumes to expand so that she can maybe breathe longer. But it's tying into what Max said about the endurance and going further. Unless it's the hip. It also can be the hips. We're working on the hips too. And I know Susan's working on the hips.
We started.
You are aware she has a new hip. She has one artificial hip.
Yeah.
You are aware of that.
Right,
Yeah.
the right hip is the artificial hip.
What's
Pardon?
that?
Is it the right hip that's the artificial hip?
Do
You're
you know,
talking-
Ruth, which hip?
Is it your right hip,
Okay.
Ruth?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so a couple things on that note. I did not know that you guys needed to work on breathing. So I can do a lot of work with that in the yoga sessions, because what we tend to do is not be familiar with the fact that we are upper lung breathers in that anxious state, and we're not using our bellies, and that our lungs can go this way and this way and this way. So I can work with her. We did that one day, barely touched on it. But for her to just even have the familiarity of the different types of breathing that she can do when she's super relaxed versus not will make a big difference in how we can start doing some of the breathing with yoga. So I can totally do that. And then with the endurance, Ted, I don't know if you remember or if you saw, but I did like a walking analysis of Ruth. And you could tell that when she first started being videotaped, she doesn't really use her arms when she walks. And so we did a lot of retraining, and I was really hard on her for a while about even like you don't realize when you swing your arms, and she had forgotten how to cross crawl, cross swing. Our natural gait when we walk is kind of, you know, the opposite leg with the opposite arm. When you're not using your body in that centrifugal motion, you lose your endurance. And so for quite some time, we were working on her remembering to cross crawl, and she would have to, it's like she would have to really think hard about stepping forward with the left leg with the right arm. And then as soon as she could get going, her brain would kick in and remember that she had to naturally swing both. And so when you're working with her and her or doing whatever, if you can kind of pay attention to whether she's got that cross crawling motion, that would really increase her endurance ability.
And before we go, I want to say one quick thing before, because I know we want to get Jill in this thing. She hasn't said, hasn't added anything yet, but we were talking today about the breathing and what we, when she first sang today, it was very breathy. And so we were working on how to really pinpoint the sound, so it's not going out this way, but it's going more focused. And so we were talking about the abdomen and how, when you take a breath, it goes like this, and then when you release the breath, it goes up. And so we were working more on that side of breathing than the lungs, so that you get the full breath and you have the control over it. So we're going to talk about, if you put a match in front of you and you sing, the idea is to be able to make the match flicker, but never have it blow out. And because you're controlling your how much breath is going out and how focused it is. So that's another thing we were talking about with the breathing was breathing through the abdomen and having more control over how you're releasing it, so that it's not a burst of air.
Cool. Okay. Jill, let's turn it over to you, my dear.
Okay, So Ruth really started on just nouns, verbs, prepositions, you know, all the areas of language at the word level, worked on that for so long, and words that started with certain letters that were really hard for her to remember how to say, whether they be F words and all that. But within the last year, you know, she's really been working on complete sentences. And I'm so glad to hear that you're all hearing them, because, you know, you don't know if everyone's hearing the same thing. So, you know, she's kind of started, and I'm going to show you a lot of stuff because I'm very visual, as is Ruth. And I thought, you know, a picture says 1,000 words. So she kind of just started at the level, he is going to pick an apple. He is picking an apple. He picked the apple. Okay, she's really gotten good at these. Past tense is the hardest for her. She's not doing irregular verbs now, okay, but just ed at the end. And really just describing a lot of pictures. She is driving. Then we would do, she is driving her car, this kind of thing. Where she's working kind of now is I often send a story to her with a short sentence under each picture. And she tries to hide the words, and she's trying to tell a story. We're really working on a sequence story at this point. She started with 4 pictures. Now she's doing 6. We're not working on the little words that don't have much meaning, like into, at, to, or those are really hard still. We're going to get there, but kind of what I would love everyone's help with. She is working on these lately. I want a massage. You know, I want to play the guitar. This is for you girls. I want to exercise, just to practice what we call a carrier phrase. I want to. Okay, so she's doing a lot of those, and we're doing all of her favorite activities. I want to garden, whatever. And then to flip that, she is working on, do you want to, okay? Do you want pizza? So if there's any way you could incorporate her starting to use those kind of sentences, that would be amazing. She has gotten to the point where she can describe, look, I'll send her something like this, and she'll have to say, the cat is behind the house, the cat is under the house. But prepositions are challenging, but she told me even between on Wednesday, all on her own, okay, which is great. And the other area we're really starting to get into, but I want you to know, she said on Wednesday, it's Greek, it's very challenging, is asking questions. We're just doing where and what questions for the most part. But those are hard, just so you know, those are hard. She does need extra time to process, retrieve words, and formulate her sentence. But if she's calm and takes her time and doesn't hurry herself, you know, she really, that facilitates her language. And thinking of the first letter of something, and if she can't find a word, you can prompt her, what does it start with? That really helps her to think of, you know, the word through her word retrieval. It's a compensatory strategy. Whether it be reading a word, if you assist her with how many syllables it is, that helps her. And the names of people, places, we're working on Whole Foods, Carbondale, you know, the places she goes, where her sister lives, you know. But in general, names of places is hard.
Jill, I was, when we work on singing and reading the lyrics as she's singing, and sometimes some words really trip her up. And I just asked Ruth about whether there was any, whether it was beneficial to kind of identify the first letter as that sound and then go from there.
Yes.
And so you can speak on that if you'd like. But
yes, please do that. Or you do like a fill, like, you know, she's trying to remember pepper, salt, and you know, I always try to assist her, and then she almost always comes out with it. If you give her the first letter or the first sound, or however you want to word it, or a prompt like a carrier phrase where she has to insert it. And concepts are much easier for her if you say heavy and, you know, light. That helps her trigger those kind of adjectives. I was going to tell you though, we spend time each week working on whether it be measurement stuff, whether it be, excuse me, cooking stuff. Right now she's working on money stuff, credit card, check, penny, all that stuff, and her devices, iPad, phone, computer, those all can get jumbled. But the more she practices them, I mean, she's just doing so amazing. She thinks she's going slow, but I don't think she's going slow at all. Yeah.
Well, one thing that I think I get on Ruth about this, and what I'm going to say, right? We don't want the brain to hear that I am forgetting, or it's slow, or it's taking me a long time, or, you know, so the more we can try to erase that negative pattern. She's very hard on herself, at the same time one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. So I would love for her to embrace the fact that she is working so hard and she's doing tremendously well, and have that pattern shift to, I am learning this, you know, it is taking me as long as it needs to take, or, you know, as much as you have that brain hear the positivity, it's going to create more of a learning environment too, instead of the negative self-speak. So if you guys could help with that, that would be very powerful, I think.
I love that. I had Ruth make herself give her a pat on the back on Wednesday. All that reinforcement, like you said, the positive is, I think, so wonderful.
Yeah.
And Susan, or Mac too, so when you're working on something, like so I mentioned breath work, so like we can work together, because whatever you're going to ask her, Susan, maybe to, you said I can work on the breath and all that. So for all the muscles it takes to do whatever we're asking her to do, there's a threshold, the tolerance threshold. And that's the level we're at now, is raising the tolerance. So just know that that a muscle, if we pass its tolerance, the nervous system may throw the inhibitory response on that muscle. That's why I asked for, Ruth, what is it they said you couldn't do? Or you texting me, what can she not do? Because then I can go in with MAT as tools, like working on a car, where I can go right at the muscle that should be doing that and just check it to see if the signal's still hooked up to it. If it's not, we can reset that muscle. It's kind of why Peyton Manning went to the Broncos, so he could be around the founder, because he had a neck fusion. So with that neck fusion, how do you go play football and have those linemen coming at you to hit you? So every week he was worked on to restore the muscles that may have backed off when someone tackled him down to the ground, because the nervous system was too busy protecting his neck when he went to fall. That's why the ball falls out of his hand when they're coming at him. It's like, oh my God, my neck. You know, he's not playing football at that moment. So when we, like even the scales, that's why I thought, oh, maybe I could be a part of helping with that raspy, because what does she need to get that? And then Mac, you could shoot me a text or something of this is what kind of like, I see that she's not doing whatever it is. And then I can try to figure out, okay, what muscles were involved that would help that. So we're trying to make sure that signal stays there, just like now she can lift the arm. So that arm does not care about, you know, it's really the upper trapezius muscle is in this position that you can see right here. pushing upward as a shoulder elevator. And it doesn't care anymore about going off. She's going to have to put a really heavy pack on or something that's going to be past the tolerance threshold of that muscle for it to back off now. So she can do more or harder or endurance, like Ted said. It's like, so we still have a level to go to that is organizing the brain and the muscles in the order the nervous system wants those muscles to fire. There's certain muscles, like maybe in the arm, that depend on the spine being firing. So that organizational thing, we've done it through the lower leg and foot, but we're just about ready to start it in the whole body. And we started it before, but I knew that was too soon because Ruth will have, and Ted, you probably know this one, when Ruth gets frustrated, it's almost like this, this different personality comes up. And then I know that, okay, too much, we're not at that place. Let's back down and not kind of piss off the nervous system. And then just stay where Ruth is, but keep moving that tolerance up. So the founder of Muscle Activation Techniques is in Denver, Greg Roscoff, and he went through a traumatic brain injury just about 3 years ago. So it's this next RX program that starts the organization of the mind or brain. And so I'm real curious as her mind and brain allows us to go there, if that's a missing piece of the puzzle to start to connect things. So we have a hierarchy of things to do, but it's like kind of like you need trunk rotation before any trunk flexors and trunk extensors are going to be really good and keep the signal going. So that's like one of the first motions that starts off the whole entire body, rotation for the ankle, rotation everywhere. So we're putting that together, and Ruth has good days and not so good days, but we mostly have good days when she comes in now. And her body is showing who she really was before the accident. It's shying away still from left side things. And since she fell to the left, that nervous system's really going to protect the head and the neck. And it knows that not so good things happen here. So it's a little jumpy about, am I going to throw the inhibition, or am I going to just ride through it at 90% or keep 100% of that signal firing, saying, let's go, Ruth, let's go. So there's things going on that whatever anyone asks her to do, even if whatever she asks herself to do, go out and garden, it might say, sure, I'll garden with you. All the muscles are like, yeah, I'll garden. But no, what do you mean? We're going into 3 hours of this? What? And then the tolerance might be in that endurance side. So there's an intensity, an endurance, a frequency. How many days in the week did you want to garden? How long were the sessions of gardening? And the nervous system has all these things set up to keep her protected, let's say, so we're trying to get it to not care about how long, how much, how all of that, and push through it. And all I have to do is go at that muscle and just reset it. And then they'll usually come on in 4 tries. If for some reason she did something that like fell down cross-country skiing, then I'd go through and make sure that everybody in the head and the neck is fine, that for the fact that you fell, get all the signals going again. So for all of us, she's as good as her signals are each day. And
I have a question. She's always extremely sensitive about her midsection, laying on her tummy, or anything that has to do with her lower back. I mean, not necessarily her sacrum, but above, like more in the middle where you would see her kidneys are.
yeah.
Do you know why that is? I've never understood. Whenever I get her in any of those 2 positions, she's like, no.
Yeah, she's come a long way. When we first worked on the table, it's almost like stepping back and taking baby steps, because I had props under her. She was never in the beginning in the exact testing position. We had a prop under. She would get as many shirts and everything that she brings, coats, and pack them under her low back. And that's how she wanted to lay there. That made her comfortable. If she lays on her side, she puts one shirt now under her hip. That's the only thing that she props now. We got her to the place where she can lay flat on the table. We prop another prop underneath the knees so that it gives her a little trunk flex or pelvic tilt towards, so the back doesn't bother her. But she is more flat than all propped up under the neck. It used to be under the neck, under the low back, all these props. And I was like, I don't know if the nervous system knows that we're in the right position to talk to the muscle I'm trying to talk to. But eventually we talked to the muscle anyway, and everybody started working at a higher level. So now there's no prop under the back. There's no prop under the neck. So now we're like everybody else. We're just the average person that comes in, she's laying there like that and testing like that. So we don't know why. The nervous system knows why it's doing that. And I'm digging through the layers. It's like she's a big onion, and we're taking every time we work on something, it peels down to show us something that body's masking. The nervous system is very good at masking and compensating. And so she will shift around and compensate. She can't in the MAT, so it'll find what she's doing to compensate. But for when you ask her to do something, her body will always give you the strongest way it can do it. That is the strongest way that day. She might have hiked with Ted 5 hours the day before, and now you notice she's not so good the next day. Maybe some things back down, or she's moving to the side. Like I know you've been working on lateral motion with the hip, and maybe that doesn't look that good that day. Well, maybe 3 muscles back down, and the body went and took 8 muscles to try to do that motion. So you'll see these differences, and that's why I'll try to get muscles or signals back, no matter what anyone asks her to do, even what she asks herself to do. So it's what you can't do is what I need to know. If you've got something like that, we can test
struggled a lot with her right shoulder clicks, like even really low
It's
range
got
of
a clunk in it. Yeah.
bothers her really badly. So we're working a lot on her, I can't think of the name of the muscle right now, but between her shoulder blades, strengthening those so that she can
rhomboids. Yeah.
And then the other thing is her right leg, like the tensor fascia lata, all of those side muscles are super weak. But I just didn't know why she's in so much pain. Ted, I didn't know if you had any input on her midsection. Whenever she lays on her back or her stomach, she just cannot get in those positions. Even if I have her sometimes hanging onto the pool wall, bending her knees back, she doesn't like to be on any surface next to her, laying flat or on her back. Do you know why?
No, I have no idea. Okay, I have no idea.
We had a big realization though, while we were working on Max, thinking about breath and projection of the notes she wanted to do, where Ruth comes in and if breathing is like at the bottom of the barrel, where if you're not breathing, then you're pretty much gone off the planet, right? So all the way down to the core of just breath. If her right intercostals will kick off, I guess, pretty easy now. I mean, it has been that way. I'm trying to, and they're related to the respiratory system. So on all my clients with COVID, I'm trying to keep those intercostals working, because I know they relate to the respiratory system. I want that respiratory system as strong as it can be, so that maybe if they come in contact with somebody, they're not going to even take on COVID. So with Ruth, she can put her leg out laterally to the side, her right leg, but it's jammed up and doesn't go out very far, because I have to use that as a test for the intercostals. And so I know that right intercostal muscles have backed down on her. As soon as we get them working, I ask her to put that right leg out to the side. It goes out probably that much farther to the side, you know, so there's a connection there. And we just kind of fell into that by peeling those layers. And then I go, this keeps happening. Your hip is only really good if your breath, if all the sides of the rib cage, if they're all working. So with the MAT, it's not going to be, we don't chase the pain. It's finding what is causing, what's not working that's causing the pain or some other place to tighten up. So what you and I, Susan, know is her hips are tightening up because that's where the pain is. And her back is also not happy in the low back. The low back is a twin of the neck. The neck is where those singing muscles are. I mean, so you can see this connection running all over, and that's why the nervous system is so much smarter than all of us with our brains together could figure out. And it's all unique to each person. So you can't have a book that says, I mean, if we had Ruth's owner's manual, then we just look through the owner's manual and find out why that doesn't happen. But we can't do that. So it's
I
a
just
mystery.
thought about 5 new types of exercises I'm going to do with her now, since talking to all of you about the breathing, the notes, the singing. And we do work an awful lot on the micro muscles in her hips. We do every kind of rotation. We do forward and back, side to side, and rotational religiously. And she's got those, Mac. She has got those memorized front and backwards. She can do those anytime on her own. And she, you know, so her memory, it's there. It's just a lot of repetition, and then she gets
So
it.
from being a fitness trainer too, I mean, I can follow what you're doing. And what I never knew when I was fitness training, and what's out there for all fitness trainers, is we have no idea with that individual when you cross that threshold line, when does the nervous system consider what we're asking the person to do, the exercise or whatever? When does it turn into a stress to it because it's above the tolerance level? So what's perfect is if I can see you give me the 5 exercises that you introduce, and then I can test those in my office. Just ask Ruth to do it before we get into the session. It will be the first part, because right now we're trying to break her down. We want to see if we can break her down. If we can't break her down, the tolerance is higher than anything anyone asks her to do, including herself. So
Sorry.
if I have the exercises, then she can do them for me on the table, and I'll pretty much know and you can tell me what muscles you're targeting. And we'll just see if those muscles back down. If they do, I'll push the tolerance up so that they won't back down when you're working out.
Okay, that's
That would be great.
to interpret, because I mean, I could tell that Ruth is an amazing athlete prior to this, and she knows her body, and she knows intuitively when something's too much. I honestly don't see, she's such a perfectionist and a hard worker that, you know, and sometimes being in the water, it's really hard for me to see
Yeah.
where she's off. But anyway.
No, whatever is the exercise, we'll just ask I'm asking the nervous system through the test I have, is this muscle going to fire? Is it going to fire on demand, or is it going to back off? And we don't want it backing off, because nothing you're doing is going to harm her. But
Okay.
if it's in a position that she might not have, even before this accident, if it's in a position the nervous system has logged in as something bad happened after this, then it will throw the inhibition. Unless the tolerance is high enough, then you would have to give her like weights on her legs or something more intense, more loaded on that joint, for the signal to back down. The threshold is high enough for then what we're asking her to do. So the nervous system is so clever. It does seem like people are mysteries sometimes, but I can at least ask her nervous system, are you going to tolerate this or are you not going to tolerate this? Is it a stress to you? Is it not a stress to you? No.
Okay.
And fix it if it is, you know, and push that tolerance higher. So then it's not
Yeah.
stress. So we're all doing the right thing. It's just like, what can we find?
In cramps anymore. There's a lot of really.
Yeah, the
positive-
cramping is the body's way of tightening to make up for something missing.
Okay.
So that's when she tells me I'm cramping, then I know something back down on her and it can be anywhere from the head to the toes. So as we're working through the different sections, we'll come across it and push. Every time I'm working on her, it pushes the tolerance higher. So she's definitely more amazing.
On super field muscles or anything, would be helpful too. But okay, well, Ted, do you have, or Ruth, you guys want to have anything else to add or ask? Can't hear you, Ted. You're on mute.
Ted?
I'm unmuted. The symptoms you described of the low back and the tightness and the tension, those long precede any accident.
That's
Those are not any result of the bike wreck. That is something that she's struggled with as long as I've known her.
yeah.
So for whatever that's worth. As to the shoulder, one of the things that happened when early on was she did have a totally frozen shoulder, which took some considerable time to unfreeze. So when you talk about possible issues with the shoulder, they may be related to that.
Are you
And then
talking about
lastly-
the left? Are you talking
What's
about the
that?
left? Which shoulder was frozen? The left?
I think.
Because the left was the problem in the beginning, and once that started working, it unveiled that the right had an issue too, and that's what Susan and I are seeing, the clunk that's happening on the right. Yeah, so.
I mean, it's a long time ago, and you try to forget stuff, but I'm gonna think it was the right, but I
Okay.
wouldn't swear to that.
Okay, that makes sense.
The other thing that I don't know whether any of you have any particular assistance, but I will tell you that I think the single most frustrating thing to Ruth is people's names. She knows who, she knows where, she knows what. She cannot retrieve the name. And it frustrates her because she's trying to tell me something about it. And I'm still trying to figure out who she's talking about. Who is this person? So again, I don't know if there's anything in your magic toolboxes that would help, but I know that is probably, would you agree, Ruth? That's probably one of your big frustrations.
And names of places, and not remember C and Aspen and Glenwood, and that's it.
The basalt is still an issue,
Is
Oh.
it
for
okay?
example.
Can we
Okay.
wear a name tag? Does that help her, Jill, with
Yeah.
seeing the name, the face, like put it near our face or something?
Yes,
Where every time she comes, do that?
that would be great. And then we can slowly maybe just have the P and she's got to retrieve it and have like a hierarchy.
Yeah.
I did want to work on people's names and Ruth knew it was super hard and she didn't want to do it. This was a while ago. But Ted, if you want to come up with a list of, names that she really needs to retrieve and talk about, I would love to work on those with her. We have worked on, the places that she typically goes, some places, but I would love a list from you, please, of places and people, and we can definitely do that.
Yeah, could you blast that out to me too and to everybody, just so that I can work with her on that in the pool. As we're working out, we can talk about basalt and all of those places. And
Like
then
your
Ruth-
questions, the question of where are we today, Ruth? As she comes in my door, because I'm in Basalt, so she's gonna have to
what's funny
remember.
is every time I say, hey, you might want to try this vitamin, she goes home and she does not forget that stuff. The next thing I know, Ted will be calling me today. Ruth says there's some vitamin she needs to be taking.
But names not good.
The fact that you remember that you were supposed to do something, like, you never forget. When I tell you to do something, you never forget.
I want your
And they-
technique.
Oh.
I want to know how you do that.
So overall, Ruth, I just want to commend you on your will and your perseverance and your dedication to yourself. It is absolutely beautiful and amazing. And I'm sure, an inspiration to a lot of people that maybe haven't given such an effort to their recovery. So I just am so proud of you, and what you've combined together here, I think is really unique and special, but more than you should know about. I think you've really combined a great group of people. So congratulations. And
Well,
thank you.
And I just want to kind of throw out there, since I have the founder of MAT, Greg, did have that car accident that someone ran into this back end of the side of the cab where his head was, and he had his traumatic brain injury. In his recovery, I keep accessing and asking him, even though no one's alike, how did he come back? He's teaching classes 4 days straight, has the memory. He did not have the speech loss that Ruth had. He did have vision issues. And so he was at Craig Hospital for a while, and then reporting there and back, and he kept, every time before he went to his session there, he did a session of muscle activation techniques. He did it from the higher place that Ruth and I are working toward. He's amazing. He got to the point where he was going through the protocols for TBIs with Craig, and he went in finally months and months down the road later and said, what do we do today? And they said, you've gone farther than any person around here. You've exceeded the protocols. You're at the top end. We don't have any more protocols past that. And he goes, well, what do we do? And then they're like, we want to study what you're doing. So we are, with concussions, with the NFL, all that stuff, I think at this point, after 20 years, Greg has all these people after his brain on what is this MAT? Why does it turn people around? Some people slower than others, some faster. So at least I've got a mentor out there too that I can run things by. I know that he stumped Craig, which is a feat in itself right there. And Ruth I would put Ruth right there next to him, saying, well, here comes another one, because she's really going fast. So I do have that access to try to keep up with him too. So.
That's awesome. And if I could have your permission, I would love to put a portion of this call, once I learn how to cut videos up, on the Mods for Quads website, because it's all about teaching people how to recover from paralysis in many phases. But my goodness, if somebody could see the combination of people that Ruth has gathered together, I think there's a reason. There's a reason she's doing music with speech, with muscle active, with movement. It's like the perfect cocktail for recovery.
So that's why I sent you that article.
That is just the cherry on top.
Yeah, that's why I sent you that article. I hope you all got it. It was news to me too. The MAT headquarters leaks out these new findings, or who he's talking to, and how these other minds are coming together about head injuries. So that wasn't something that was sitting around for a while. That was just out, and correlation of brain activity and MAT. And Greg would have never gone there. We only learned like up to here on muscles. And since he had that injury, he said there must be a purpose in life of how come I have to go through this. And then it shifted him into his own healing again, one more time. And he started to access, what is MAT doing for his health or his coming back. And then now he's got all these doctors and concussion experts and Craig and all of this, and he's hooked in every day. He reports things through his finger of what his blood sugars are and everything. It goes right through computer, right to Craig. So they're studying him. And if you guys want, when I get some articles related to the brain activity, I'll just send them on like I did to you, because that's brand new stuff
Yeah.
coming out,
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Because
That'd be great.
we were in the paper today, Mods for Quads and the Scope of Sun. We're trying to create a resource of empowering people to heal with knowing what's out there for anybody struggling with this type of information. So I can just put it on the website too for others to see. But okay, well, are we about ready to wrap this up then? Does anybody else have anything?
So Ruth, do you need anything?
No, it was wonderful. I am just trying to learn because it's better and better, but not right. And so I'm learning everything. And so it's really good. So thank you.
Hey,
Thank you, and Ted too.
Yeah.
Such a pleasure.
thanks everyone. And yeah, feel free to keep in touch. I think this is do once a year for sure.
Mhm.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye everyone.
Okay, bye.